UK services, Lamarzi and Who1.co.uk present the 20 Megabyte Doctor Who podcast.
Hello and welcome to the 20 Megabyte Doctor Who podcast, episode 542. Excuse me, can you help me please? Here's Kirby Bartlett Sloan.
Hello, I'm Captain Troy Handsome of International Rescue. Please state the nature of your emergency.
And she's back. It's Mary Lang.
Kiss the girl.
Every time I hear that particular line, I start wanting to sing.
Yes, me too. From Little Mermaid.
Yes.
And we are joined via the video feed with Lillian Robbins saying hi. And
what a surprise.
We this week
Hello,
will be
Lillian.
reviewing The Lodger very, very quickly, and then getting on with the show and doing that very, very quickly, followed by some very, very quick bits of... Oh, just realised. No, how aged are they this week?
Oh, that's true.
I didn't realise. I forgot that. I could have done one myself. But no.
What?
So, yes, we're talking about Doctor Who, weren't we? Right, let's see if I can find the episode.
What started this week? I'm sorry. I didn't understand.
We're not doing who's aged or what's
How
aged.
aged are they? Well, that
Yeah.
requires,
So this is going to be very fast.
that requires a Ben, of which we do not have at this stage. Right then. So it's a Lodger this week, isn't it? So, okay.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
What do you mean you're afraid? So?
Oh, right. So we skipped the episode then? If you've already got your review of it.
But
So-
go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you. Anyway, the TARDIS materialises in a park, and the Doctor sort of pokes his head out, looking a bit confused, and then there's a sort of whoosh sort of noise, and he gets thrown to the floor while the TARDIS dematerialises, and he goes, "Amy! Amy!" It's funny, the Doctor fell down to the ground, and Amy whizzed off in the TARDIS. Yes. So there seems to be a problem with the TARDIS. Meanwhile, a bespectacled young man who looks like he might be the offspring of Stephen Merchant is meandering down the street, and hears a voice from within saying, "Oh, excuse me, could you help?"
Master,
And
master.
no, it's not the Master, Kirby. I know you like to think so.
That is actually the address, 79, whatever street it is. But although they state it's a different street in the episode. But since this was filmed, the owners have painted the front door TARDIS blue.
How marvellous. Thanks for that. Anyway, so the Nipper manages to get in the house because it's open, and there's a bloke at the top of the stairs with a light behind him, because he's a generic old man. Anyway, the Nipper goes in.
And there's no credit for whoever played those various
Stephen Merchant Jr.
manifestations.
Oh, no. No, okay. So, meanwhile, in what appears to be the flat underneath, there's a disgusting stain sort of developing on the ceiling.
Oh, I thought you were making a comment about James Corden.
And the bloke from the Tonight Show, or it was
the Late Show?
Oh,
or
the
whatever.
Late Show. The bloke from the Late Show is with some bird with a pink top. And they're just about to have a nice cup of tea, watching this stain while there's all sorts of stuff going on upstairs. And it appears, if you watch the subtle acting of James Corden, that he's got a thing for bird in pink top, whose name I forget, but I'm sure Kirby's going to remind me.
Do I have to?
Well, it would help.
Daisy Haggard.
That's the name of the
character,
character,
I
is
suppose she is a Duke of Hazzard?
Is that the name of the character?
No, Sophie is the name of the character.
Did I ask for the actor's name?
The actress's name is Daisy Haggard.
I don't want to know the actress's name. I'm going to go for actor, because I think that's a generic term for people that act these days.
Sophie.
Anyway, so she sort of makes her excuses and these, and Craig Craig is the character that James Corden, the bloke from the Late Show, is playing in this role. Meanwhile, there's little subtle hints via the refrigerator, as they call it in America, the refrigerator, because apparently in America the refrigerator doesn't have a T at the last, from last it's a D, the refrigerator, where there's lots of Van Gogh references, and there's also a letterbox with ER on it. The Queen gets everywhere. I've just had a vibration via my telephone device that isn't at all interesting. Right, so obviously we can glean from this, because James Corden's character, Craig, sort of didn't take the opportunity to say "I love you" to the character that I've just forgotten the name of, the bird with the
Sophie.
What?
Sophie.
Sophie.
As in Aldred.
That might help me remember it. Anyway, so he runs out to the door because the doorbell just went, "I love you," and of course it's a doctor. And he says something along the lines of, "Well, I should hope so too, because I'm your new lodger." And
this will be easy.
yeah. So obviously in he goes. I think the bloke from the Late Late Show does need a shave, but at this stage. Also, I've noticed when I was watching the programme, it looked like the number of the house, because it was in sort of text.
79.
It looked like 70 nin, but of course it's just the shadow of the lamp sort of.
The
going
shadow
across the
nose.
to made it look like 70 nin. But it wasn't 79. Anyway, so the doctor does all these sort of doctory things. The thing I thought was a bit silly is this sort of greeting there, where he sort of did the kiss on both cheeks, because apparently that's what humans do. He's worked with humans for a bit. He'd already know that's not what.
He's unsure.
Why would he be unsure? He's been working and around humans for a little bit of time. I think even Mary would support me on this particular thing. Why would the doctor be unsure about how humans greet each other? Mary, it's over to you.
No, I won't support you, because he does not strike me as the observant type.
Right.
He just kind of...
Okay, I lose that one then. It's
observant. Would you learn something like that?
Okay, I'm sorry, Mary, I got it wrong. Had to happen at some point after 10 years. It's all interesting to note, and I'm going to say
also,
this
you're going to object to something in a little bit now that I'm going to have something to say.
Yeah, well, no, not yet. I'm not though. So be quiet. So there's a dartboard in Craig's kitchen, which is it's a unicorn dartboard. I'm not saying this quietly because we got one for Isabella for Christmas. So I hope she's not watching the show. Otherwise, it's been spoiled. One just like that. And you can get from Argos, by the way.
Just be sure that it's attached to the wall firmly, or else it might fall down to the ground.
Sports Direct. Anyway, the doctor shows Craig his psychic paper. Hang on, I've got a burp coming.
That was almost my quote.
And there's I can't remember his response. I'm going to have to put the sound up, because I have to remember it being quite amusing. Be quiet!
National insurance number, NHS number, references.
Is that a reference from the Archbishop of Canterbury?
Yes, that's the bit. Is that a reference to the
Yeah,
Archbishop?
that was very hard to hear.
Is that a reference from the Archbishop of Canterbury?
No, it was going to be one of my quotes.
So why did you say... Oh, never mind.
No,
Anyway,
I'm just telling you that it might have been difficult for our listeners to hear.
And I'm saying, oh well. Anyway, so there's lots of shots of the fridge, because there's pictures of Craig and his beloved and monkeys, and obviously there's a reference to monkeys, and not Mickey Dolenz, who I met at London Comic Con, but monkeys as in MONKEYS rather than MONKEES. Yes, just so you understand that, Kirby. And of course an elephant and a few donuts. Right, so back to the episode. There's an emoji on the a magnet on the fridge as well, which I just glued. And also it is little one of those those little gold cats. You notice these things in the background when pausing images. You know, the ones that wave, that do a little, the gold Chinese cats that I got my mum one of those. It's yeah. And there's also a mug in there that says Ian Mug or something like that. So the doctor makes up some very tasty-looking dinner of eggs, cheese, and and ham. Sorry, eggs, cheese, and ham. Does look tasty, actually.
It does.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
Unlike the fish finger custard he made
He learned to cook.
previously. Anyway, meanwhile,
In the confidential, James Corden was saying that Matt Smith is actually a good cook.
I'm sure he is.
Although the director then came on and said, "Don't listen to everything that James Corden says."
Meanwhile, Amy is trying to materialise the TARDIS with no help. The Doctor, I forgot to mention, is wearing an earpiece throughout this whole story, and exceptionally floppy hair, because of course he's a floppy-haired wuss, as the Dream Lord admitted earlier on in the series. And of course, Craig is carrying around a key ring with a fluffy pink thing on it because
And
that's
he's
what
fondling
Sophie
it.
left behind. These are all rather superfluous.
No, they're
as
not.
the Doctor and Craig strike up a bit of a bond as the Doctor is trying to...
The earpiece is an important plot point, and also the fact that he keeps fondling the keychain is important.
Yes, and that's how the Doctor communicates with Amy in the TARDIS via this earpiece. Meanwhile, there's
Now,
people...
I had not noticed
yeah.
before this latest watching of this that the Doctor, when he is talking to Amy, it does get garbled, so that James is not understanding until they headbutt later.
Anyway, so yes, a pretty sort of drunk and upset girl gets lured into the house and gets obviously done in by whoever's upstairs. The Doctor is talking to Amy via earpiece, and Craig is listening via the door. There's a point
But
in which
he
the
can't
Doctor wears
understand, is what I'm saying.
sunglasses, which reminded me, of course, of the 12th Doctor. And then something weird, wobbly goes wrong with the time. Sort of everything goes a bit funny. And because, obviously, this upset woman who got abducted by the person upstairs, the power generated by killing her has obviously had some effect on time. Next morning, the Doctor's having a shower. And Craig looks like he needs to go in there.
Now, do you wonder, does this incarnation of the Doctor have a tattoo like the third?
Yes, I knew you were going to say that, so it sort of makes me wish I hadn't mentioned it. Anyway, something's happening upstairs again, so Craig decides to go up and see if the bloke upstairs is okay. But at this stage, he's okay. He doesn't call him in to kill him. But he does get a chance
that's
to
explained.
peep through the door. The Doctor, meanwhile, is sort of tries...
Master,
Oh, God.
it's explained why the emergency program upstairs doesn't go after.
Yes, that's
either
what I
Sophie-
just said. At this stage, he's not required. God, right. Where's the
No,
dog?
it's not. It's not that it's not required. It's because he has no desire to go.
Well, that
anyplace.
means he's not required, does
Yeah,
it not?
so it's not needed, yes.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, so the Doctor comes out of the shower chair wearing just a towel and an extremely floppy hair scenario, and tries to take a toothbrush because he made a mistake and left the sonic screwdriver behind and took the toothbrush with him. And then Sophie arrives at the door, looks a bit because there's a half-naked man who comes up and does a very funny greeting of the two kisses on each cheek, because of course it's not necessarily the correct form of action to do while you're half-naked wearing a towel.
I don't remember. Is this where she and I forget who stands on the other side of? There's that weird portrait in the hallway.
It's in this period, yeah.
Mm.
It's
And
what?
I have not. That is such a weird picture.
There's lots of background things in this story which you think might be relevant, but that's very distracting.
And they aren't.
The fact
No.
that they focus on it so much makes me think it's relevant to something.
So, Craig chickens out of telling...
I kept looking to see if the eyes moved or something, but nope, they
no,
don't.
I don't know. Of telling Sophie that he loves her again while they go off to play football in the park. Now, I remember mentioning, I've got no problem with the Doctor being good at footy at all, but what annoyed me a little bit is the size of the goals. They are,
Yes.
and there's no
That's-
net
I
on
knew you
them.
were
It's
going to
supposed.
say
This is
that.
supposed to be a proper league match. The least you would expect would be a net on the blimmin' goal. You can't play a match in any league in this country without the correct nets behind the goal.
Master,
the
if
goals
you look
themselves.
at
goals.
that particular location from both Street View and above on Google Maps,
Yeah.
those are just there. I mean, I don't know why there's no net on it, but
Yeah, well,
those
that's where
those
they
are in
made
the
a
middle
boo-boo.
of that park.
They must have known, the makers of the Who of Doctor, that football fans might actually watch the show and notice this glaring
You're
cock-up.
the only person I've heard of who complains about that.
Me. Yeah, well, if it was just a kick around, Kirby would just,
And you complained about it not only the last time,
By the
but
time
in
before.
one of the very
Yeah,
earliest 20 megabyte Doctor Who podcasts.
but if it was just a kick around, it wouldn't matter. But they've got a referee there in full kit. The referee should have started by saying, these goals are not regulation size and there's no net on them. We can't play
How
the
do you
match.
know they didn't?
Never mind. What?
How do you know that the referee didn't say that?
Well, he didn't, because he's in... When the Doctor scores the first of his silly goals, the referee's there blowing his whistle and pointing to the centre spot, and implying that the it's a goal, a legitimate goal. And you can see in the background the hockey
Did you happen to see the confidential for this?
No.
They even go to what is apparently a real BBC football show where they comment about football, and they do commentary about that game.
Splendid. Anyway, so meanwhile, during the latter stages of this fake match, a woman is lured into the house and gets sort of by a little girl this time. Are you my mummy? But she wasn't. And and then something funny happens with time again. And I do like the scene where they're all sort of going backwards and forwards and the cans being opened and the Doctor just walks away while it's all repeating itself. That was quite clever. And then
that was very well done. They actually used the green screen.
Oh, for God's sake! I've just said that. Right, where's my Kirby-ometer gone? Anyway, on the screen inside the TARDIS, there's a number because Amy's got the angel in her eye and she's starting to see numbers counting down again.
Yes.
Anyway.
Speaking of numbers, I was kind of exasperated that the Doctor's wearing number 11.
Oh dear.
Why?
That's
number.
almost as bad as the J&T insistence of using the question marks everywhere.
Yes. Anyway, so
I think that this is just part of the jokiness of the whole episode.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, true.
the
true.
stain
Okay.
on the ceiling.
Okay, I'll give you that.
The stain on the ceiling's got bigger, and but there was a funny scene earlier on. I forgot to mention this, that Craig asked the Doctor sort of, so as Sophie and he can have a nice quiet night to make himself scarce, essentially. But of course he doesn't. He turns up and he said, "Where's?"
Yeah.
And he got this the screwdriver and said, "Where's the button on it?" Which is quite funny. Just a normal screwdriver because he's making a gadget thingy. Which I do like about the 11th Doctor. He did like his sort of...
reminded me of the
gadgets.
next Doctor and his screwdriver. It's sonic. Ding, ding.
Yeah. So he's making this gadget using all sorts of funny items to try and detect something or other. And then Craig decides to touch the stain. And it makes him very poorly. So much so that the Doctor has to punch him in the chest. And then give him some tea, I presume, from a teapot, which has the royal wedding of the now current King and Princess Diana on it, which is stuck on rudimentarily with a sticky thing, because it doesn't look like it's proper, but it's quite funny anyway. I do like it.
Yes, it is.
And then Craig wakes up. I knew you said the wrong name, but he wakes up and realises he's exceptionally late for work. Turns up at work, and of course the Doctor's being a very good employee, and Craig's starting to get a bit irritated because the Doctor's sort of
The Doctor's taking
over his life a little bit. Yes. And eventually, after some shenanigans, it results in the bit that I seem to remember last time we reviewed this that caused a bit of annoyance, the transfer of information via headbutting. And I seem to remember at one point that kids will watch this and go into the playground and headbutt each other. I don't remember any reports of this kids headbutting each other for the sake of Doctor Who actually happening, so we can pass that over as a sort of wide of the mark suggestion. However, it annoys me. I think it's ridiculous. There's no need for the transfer of information via headbutts. It was absolutely ridiculous. And
it annoyed me a long
ways.
time ago. It didn't annoy me this time.
Only because we've seen it, but it still annoys me. I think it's silly, but there you go. It's a comedy episode. I don't like it. I think they could have done it by mind meld, like they've always done in Doctor Who. So, my voice is starting to go. I'm doing really well, aren't I?
Your thoughts are my thoughts.
Oh, yeah. So eventually they go up to the top of the stairs and go in through the door of this upstairs room and find a sort of TARDIS-like place, because it's slightly bigger on the inside.
That was never really explained, ever.
And then, of course, because Sophie's just gone in there, that's why they're going in there. Sophie sort of got lured in there, and her hand is being sort of dragged to this tit on the panel by some electrical stuff. And then, to cut a long story short, the machine needs a pilot, and none of the humans because they need a Time Lordy type thing. Of course, the Doctor is too powerful, so they can't have him and all these silly things. To cut a long story short, save everything, Craig has to tell Sophie that he loves her while they both touch the titty thing on the panel of and it makes everything explode up, and everybody has to run out of the thing before everything goes boom. And when it does go boom, you see the upstairs isn't in fact an upstairs, it's a perception filter thingy, and there's a strange sort of what would you call retro spaceship attached to it, which is rather cool. And then once that ship goes, all the timey problems, we see some rather revolting snogging between the bloke from the Late Late Show and Sophie, and then the TARDIS can land and the Doctor can say goodbye and take a key, and and then we see some of the pictures on top of the fridge again with the Doctor's celebratory. I don't remember anyone taking a picture, but never mind. Celebratory football match. Meanwhile, within the TARDIS, Amy finds a sort of wedding ring box. Sorry, I had to use your theme tune there, Mary.
I thought that's their engagement ring.
All right, engagement ring box. The same sort of thing. And that's the end of the episode. Right then. So, this episode I have a lot of affection for, because I tell you what, I mean, James Corden does get his sort of knockers. I don't mean that in a rude way. I've heard, according to Isabella, who's the expert on all media and film, she's doing an A level on the subject, that James Corden is not popular in the United States of America at all. So I'm going to give him a bit of slack, because I personally think he's a very talented man. I think he's got a bit.
He's not popular.
Isabella says he's not popular because she knows everything. She's a teenager, Mary. Come on. Isabella says he's not popular.
I would strongly disagree.
You strongly disagree. Well, according to Isabella, who is the guru of all media subjects.
Well, maybe she needs to talk this over with some Americans.
Well, I'd like to have her in here to have argument argue a case. Anyway, going back to James Corden, I just think he's a very talented man. He's a bit of an all-rounder. He can sing, he can act, he can present TV shows, he can be funny. Now, in this particular thing, I like his little nuances of his. I know he's doing a fairly comedy performance, but he's got a very subtle realism to his acting, even when he's playing these slightly unbelievable characters. It's the bit where he's in love with Sophie. With his acting, you actually believe that, and I've seen him in other things, obviously. He's a very sort of real character. These characters are very real. You can believe they actually are, because he plays them like somebody you'd meet down the road. You know what I mean? He's very good at that. And obviously in Gavin and Stacey, he's even more so like that, because he dresses in these sort of ways that we all dress, loungy sort of ways. And that's why he works so well in a Doctor Who story which has aliens in it and an alien spaceship attached to the top of a suburban house with somebody downstairs. It's a very, very basic, simple story, isn't it, this one? It's a filler story. But it worked well because they stuck in James Corden, who obviously is a rising star at the time, who just made the episode, with his sort of on-screen chemistry with Matt Smith, made the episode watchable. And looking back at it, knowing what a big star James Corden is now, and Matt Smith to a certain degree, it's quite fun to sort of watch. I don't think it's the greatest Doctor Who story ever. I certainly don't think it's the worst. It did lack a bit of Amy Pond, to be fair. I know she's in it from time to time, but that was a bit of a shame. But on the whole, I think this is just a good fun story. I'm sorry, Kirby, I know you don't like it, but I gave it. I'd see if I had mark it out of 10, I'll give it a 6.3 out of 10. It's not too bad.
Why are you putting words in my mouth?
Because it winds you up. So that leaves Robert. What did you think? All right. Well, before we ask what Kirby thinks, we've got Lillian Robbins saying he's not a bad actor. And then it was difficult to hear. What was difficult to hear? What is the clip I did? Well, listen to the podcast. And Brandon Moore saying, I'm sorry I'm late. I left my keys at Craig's. It did have a fluffy key ring on it. Kirby, what did you think of of this? My voice is going.
Where's your voice going?
I don't know.
I have changed quite a bit in the last 12 years since I first saw this one. And I didn't like it much when I first saw it. I liked it better, but still didn't like it when we last discussed it. And now I just enjoyed it. It was fun. It was funny. I had no real issues with it at all.
Thank you, Mary. Oh, Mary. Oh, hang on nearly, because it's been so quick.
Wait a second.
Ah, yes, because it's happening again.
There we go.
Mary, what did you think?
Well, I kind of use episodes like this and the Vincent episode and Vampires in Venice. I tend to forget that. I mean, I make this whole season sound, wonderful in my mind, even though there's some pretty bad episodes in it. But it's those episodes, and this I think is an emblematic one of how I tend to think of Doctor Who. The alien who's trying to adjust to humans and is really alien, which he is in this story. He's very alien. And it's got humor and it's got a little bit of frightening stuff, which build. We are hanging in there waiting to find out what it is that's upstairs. But there's love. That's love conquers all and all that. Yeah. So when you move on to to later stories in the Moffat era, which are so arc driven, and on after that, where they get, in my mind, crazier and harder to buy into. These are the stories that I think are Doctor Who.
These ones, like the one you're talking about today, Mary.
Yeah, like the one today. Because this is like child friendly and adult friendly. We all, at every level, we appreciate the humor and the scariness and all that. So I kind of hang on to this as one of my favorites.
Hey.
What you maybe know or don't know is that this story comes from a comic strip that Gareth Roberts did for Doctor Who magazine several years ago.
I posted a link to that comic strip on the Facebook page, which you can join.
Now, that was the 10th Doctor, in that one. But and something else that you may or may not know is that Matt Smith was on his way to becoming a professional football player.
He was. It was with Northampton Town, Mary, but you didn't know that, did you?
Till he got injured, and so then that's what redirected him into acting.
So was Bradley Walsh, though, Mary, but didn't know that either, did you? Bradley Walsh was on his way to becoming a professional footballer with Brentford. Then he got injured and had to go into entertainment.
In this episode, I call it the Matt Smith Show because he has never been weirder, funnier, stranger, or more alien than he is in this story. And so he came up with an image of Doctor Who that I just really like. And I was sorry to see things turn the way they do and on into the future. So yeah, this is a favorite story.
Excellent. Well, that's a turn up, isn't it, everybody? All right then. So that hang on. I haven't got any music for you, Kirby. So you're gonna have to. If I'd known, I should have to make some alternative jingles for when Ben's not on the show. Unfortunately.
Oh, I forgot that jingle is with Ben, not with you.
I've got a few potential compositions that I've got on the line for making jingles for the show, and hopefully in the winter and after FantasyCon I'll have time to turn them into proper jingles. But at the moment, we'll just have to say, Kirby, it's over to you for your bit.
My bits. Andy Nani says, I've done my ironing. I've got my two little contributions where I note that 79 Westville Road seems to have acquired a TARDIS Blue Door, and it really does have an upper floor, and a link to the comic strip.
Yes.
Robert Winch Jr. Says, and by the way, I have another thing that I need to read from Robert Winch Jr. After we're done with this.
Okay, if it's not anything to do with another podcast, that's what I'm going to say.
No.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so for this, he says, I kind of forgot this one comes after Vincent and the Doctor. I like The Lodger. It's a fun episode. We see more of the alien doctor in this one and the AI that is upstairs. Amy being tricked. What was that?
That was me sending
Getting
a
a
message to
Okay.
Mary.
Amy
Easily
being
distracted,
trapped
aren't you?
in the TARDIS and her finding the ring. I like how the Doctor transfers information to Craig. Hey, Craig, don't touch that stain on the ceiling. Why humans don't listen. I like how the Doctor has the cure for him. It comes down to being a romp of a story, still an average episode, 3 out of 5. And he has a gif of the stain in the ceiling, or GIF, depending on if you want to, how you want to pronounce that.
Yeah, so
Neil
30
James
seconds
says,
of how to pronounce GIF stroke GIF. It's a GIF. We'll go for
well,
GIF.
the person who came up with the concept says it's a GIF.
Oh, for God's sake. Wish I'd said that.
So
now.
there. I'm being...
Whatever. GIF is a
Neil
blooming
James
cleaning
says-
solution.
Neil James says, The Lodger. Matt Smith is great at comedy, and it seems he's also not bad at football either. I quite enjoy this episode despite not being a James Corden fan. I always think this could easily be a Seventh Doctor story with McCoy moving in whilst Ace or Mel are stuck in the TARDIS. The pace is good, and although the rom-com element is painfully obvious, it's still kind of sweet due to Daisy Haggard's performance as Sophie. Not sure about the weird knowledge transfer as headbutting scene. Has this ever been done before or since? Overall, a good bit of filler fun, 3 stars out of 5. Billy Kirkbride, James Corden, I'm not a fan. Brandon Moore, Mr. M, says, You're Mr. Sofa Man. No, I'm not. I'm Mr. M. The Lodger by Gayweth Woberts. Not too much to say about this one. It's a light kickabout comedy with a kickabout James Corden. What? It's a light kickabout comedy with a kickabout, period. James Corden works Will Matt Smith. The plot is simple enough for a pre-series finale runaround, and the script is full of some great dialogue. Karen Gillan is hot, so it's a shame she doesn't get much to do this episode. 7.5 out of 10. Looking forward to next week. One of my favorite stories. If you're not reviewing it in 2 parts, and expect feedback of my lengthiness.
Lengthness.
Yes. Ian Kirk says, I have sent audio, and I'm not sure if what he wrote here is his audio.
Probably the actual script from the audio, so I suggest skipping over that
I will
bit.
not read it now. If he does, if it's not the same, then I will read this later. We also have some extra feedback.
Do we?
Yes, Robert Wentz Jr.
Go on.
He put this one in too late for last week about Vincent Van Gogh.
Mary, look, we only did that because you weren't on last week. I apologise for Kirby's attitude.
We were all doing that. Come on.
Yes, because Mary wasn't on and we were just being naughty. Sorry, Mary.
Robert Wentz Jr. says, great episode. Amy, deprived of her memory of Rory, can now flirt with Van Gogh.
One more time and that'll be it.
That'll be it for what?
I don't know. I'm decided.
You get to see his mental health issues. The scene with Amy and the sunflowers was fun, and the Doctor taking Van Gogh forward in time to the museum for Vincent to find out what happens to him in the future. Also, fighting an invisible alien chicken monster is fun. 4 out of 5. And our Robert, who couldn't be with us this week, says on The Lodger, some feedback about the episode, though, as I don't want to waste my watch of it. I didn't really mind the episode as much this time. I remember it bugging me last time about just who was trying to build a TARDIS and thinking up theories about it. Now it was just someone who died. I do find it a bit unsettling that, come the end, there seems to be little concern that all those people, other people have been lured to their deaths. James Corden isn't all that annoying here. Probably one of Gareth Roberts' better stories, if you ask me. The Confidential is a bit weird. Just what is up with the sections with Karen Gillan and that lady she's with, who talks extremely fast? I was thinking, as I was watching that, I was wondering, is my playback speed set wrong? What did all that have to do with this week's episode? And what was with getting football commentators commenting on the fake football match and make it seem like it's the real thing? Very bizarre. Yes. Of course, all this is really filler until the 2-part finale. Not bad filler, though.
Is that it?
Yep.
Is that it?
Yep.
Good, right. So that moves us on to the next section of feedback. Mary has some blurb. Actually, oh, okay. Yeah, you got some blurb to read, Mary, because it's going to get very interesting from this point on. Oh, you'll find out why later.
Yeah. It says, now for an Amy Light story. Well, the TARDIS has landed in Colchester, oddly enough, on the outskirts of Cardiff. James Corden, bit of stunt casting again. There's a picture card on the fridge with Van Gogh on it. Wasn't that last week's story? Haha, the doctor trying to be normal. No chance of that happening. He's way too much alien. He's the proverbial roommate from hell, or a square peg in a round hole. Football. The players must have thought they had a ringer there. Who built the time machine on the second floor then? Maybe we will find out later.
Indeed.
Nope.
Maybe we won't. Hang on. Did Craig say save Sophie with love that will come back again?
Yeah. Oh.
Is that crack again? Sorry, not much to say this week is not a very good story. SFX magazine said about this one it was brimming with witty dialogue. I must have missed that, or it could be. Can't stand Corden. Yeah, you must not, because I think the dialogue was pretty witty.
Yeah, it was.
Good Lord, more crack next week. Bring back Rory. Stay safe and well, everybody. Linda and Terry Miles.
Thank you very much, Linda and Terry Miles, and of course Mary for reading it.
Uh-oh.
What do you mean, uh-oh?
Are you going to send me something? Or are we not getting the counselor's stuff anymore?
No, I've got this here.
Kirby.
Got this.
Kirby.
Hello, 20 Megabyte Podcast. This is Ian Kirk.
Hey!
The Lodger by Gareth Roberts. A zany filler episode pause before the Pandorica opens. Time Lord about the house. The Doctor tries to pass himself off as human without Amy there to sort him out. We have a callback to John Pertwee's shower scene. Spoiler, Amy will never do that. It is 4 days before the Doctor investigates the cause of the time distortion. All you need is love. Bye for now.
Ian's back, everyone! Hurrah!
Hey.
But, Kirby, he's not the only person that's back, is he?
Yay! Where has the counselor been, anyway?
Busy.
Well,
that
he
covers
missed
it, doesn't it?
several.
I know.
The Tenant Doctor and the History Boy, or the late episode with Craig Owens. Dear 20 Megabyters, The Lodger is, of course, a closely studied expose on the housing rented sector and false representation of a property being let. It also lays out potential pitfalls to be contemplating its informal subletting. Admittedly, the lessons to be drawn are somewhat obscure. I'm surprised that he's got so many errors in his typing here.
Well, you mean he's actually put punctuation in?
Punctuation, yes, but he's some of these sentences are just odd.
Maybe he's just in a hurry to get it out there.
Yeah. Maybe he's busy.
Back to it. It
Thank
should
you.
be noted that while some might say,
You really haven't got the hang of this, have you, Kirby?
no, I haven't read one of these.
No,
in
well,
over
you
a
know
year.
the routine with the some might says, don't you?
Yes.
Yes.
The ship disguised as a top flat and a bit of a stretch of credibility. In fact, Doctor Who is a fantasy sci-fi show, and concepts like this are a mainstay of good stories in the program. The disguised ship is a classic idea, and between them they managed to bring it on down, or at least send it off. We also learned that Craig has been taught by an alternate Seventh Doctor referring to himself as Hector when he was at school in a class of aspiring Oxbridge applicants speaking words so good that they could have been written by Alan Bennett. That made no sense at all. What the heck?
Really, where's this coming from?
Yeah, I don't know what that meant. All in all, The Lodger is a good, solid pre-finale pause for a breath story. The simple narrative gives full rein to exhibit the Doctor acting as a fish out of water, which Matt Smith takes advantage of in ways only he can. Craig and Sophie provide a backdrop not often employed in the program through ubiquitous, elsewhere, and as talented, familiar, and likable actors pique the audience interest in an otherwise low-key episode.
A Loki episode? Does that mean Loki's in it?
They also provide good cover for the limited time with Amy, which was presumably a production necessity. This story is perhaps about a quarter of an hour too short, as some better clue or somehow a clear glimpse of the aliens associated with the ship would have significantly colored in a relatively vacant threat. Next up, Doctor Who and the Rupturing of Amy's Crack. Our river songs Underhinge. Those are my thoughts. Alan T. Butcher.
Oh, dear.
Dear.
What can you do? Okay, oh, God. Sorry. Got, I had a very late dinner. Okay, hang on. I've just got to do some stuff behind the scenes. So I'm just... Oh, dearie me. I've got to play a little bit of lift music. Work. Oh dear. Alice Miller. Well, that's gone a bit on now. No. Oh, bums. Oh, nearly there. Oh, this is going wrong. No, that's gone wrong too. Hang on, nearly there. Right, there we go. We're nearly there. Nearly there now. Okay, right, shut up, lift music. Thank you. Right, so without further ado, let's talk about... No, that's an old catchphrase, isn't it? It's because we ain't got Ben, it's time for a very short episode if you won't get this one.
What?
Yes, very basic questions about Doctor Who. Mary.
Yes.
When Clara Oswald telephones the best helpline in the universe, who answers the call?
Oh, golly. Oh, I remember this, but I don't remember this. Oh, I don't know. I'll have to pass.
That's going to be a... And then Kirby's going to say...
The monks at St. John's?
And it's going to be... That's an interesting start to the quiz, isn't it, everybody? No, it was the 11th Doctor. So bad luck on that one. Yeah. Kirby.
Master.
On what planet does the Doctor visit and enter his own tomb? Ah, got ya.
I forgot.
You forgot. This is going so well. Mary, do you remember?
It's a name like Trafalgar or something like that.
I'm going to give you that.
Translor?
Yes, it is.
Yay!
Sorry, I got so excited.
Hey, I knew something.
I knocked my bell off the table, off the desk.
Oh, you found your bell again.
I'm startled that
I
Mary
found the bell. It's
actually
been
knew
there
the answer to the
for ages.
question.
That was very exciting. Mary, it goes over to you. Of whom does the first Doctor say, your arrogance is almost as great as your ignorance? Was a while back we watched this one, Mary. So the Doctor says, to whom your arrogance is... Oh, sorry. Your arrogance is almost as great as your ignorance.
Don't have a clue.
So that leaves me a Kirby. Would you?
Remember him saying that, so...
I remember him saying it. I don't remember precisely who. I'm going to guess Ian.
Is the correct
Yay.
answer. We used to do bonus points, but I forgot, so we're not doing them now. Okay,
Yeah.
next question goes to Kirby. In what year did Mr. Blue Sky by Elton Pope's favourite band, ELO, reach number 6 in the UK charts? Now, it's probably going to be a case of who can get it the nearest, but is your question at the moment, Kirby?
I haven't the foggiest notion.
Go on, give it a try. ELO, Mr. Blue Sky, what do you reckon?
1995.
Mary, what do you reckon?
I'll go with the 1980s, 1985.
Mary's closer, she gets the point. It was 1978.
Ah, yeah.
Yes.
I
I could have got that one right if somebody asked me. Right then, Mary.
Yes.
Which Time Lord always had a tattoo of a mythical serpent eating its own tail on her body? You won't get this one. Remember the old title, you won't get this one. That's why we called it. You won't get this one.
But you said on her body?
Yes.
Would it be Missy?
It wouldn't be Missy. Kirby.
It's from the story that, by the way, they made this story that we just reviewed because they didn't have the budget to make the Doctor's wife. The Corsair. That's it. And no, I didn't look it up.
Wow.
I did not look it up. I considered looking it up.
It sounds very suspicious. You emphasising the fact.
I can show you my screen.
Oh, I don't want to see a screen. Thank you very much, Kirby. That was the correct answer. Right then,
Yourself, okay?
Kirby.
The reason that it popped up was because I was talking about the Doctor's wife, and then I remembered
The Corsair.
the name because it had to do with the Doctor's wife.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anybody listening or watching the show at the moment? How many of us believe Kirby? We're going to have to believe him because we've got no way to refute it. So this is your question, Kirby. What magazine was the 11th Doctor reading whilst waiting for the Silence Envoy, Father Gideon Vandeleur?
Starts with a B.
Does it?
Don't know.
Any ideas, Mary?
No.
No, I wouldn't have had idea. It was Knitting for Girls.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mary, what is the weak spot on the back of a Sontaran's neck that the 10th Doctor identifies?
I know.
I know you do.
Probably, yeah.
There you go.
Glad you got that one right, Mary, because Kirby knew it, you see.
Yeah, you've got to give me these super simple ones.
All right then, and Kirby.
Master?
Essentially, it could be the last question. What is Jackson Lake's profession before he begins to think he is the Doctor?
You know, that's something I do not remember.
So what are you going to come up with
beforehand.
then? So what are you going to come up with then?
I'm not going to come up with anything.
Okay. Mary, do you remember?
Well, I'm going to guess that he was a doctor.
He wasn't a doctor, no. But that concludes
Well, what was he?
He was a school teacher.
Oh.
No, or it says on the card, a school teacher.
Oh, you're using the trivia cards. Cool.
Yeah. Well, I've got another way of doing it, have I? Make it up on the top of the head. Not that blooming clever.
You wrote a book.
Yeah, but I can't find the file anywhere, so I've got it. It's much easier to grab these Trivia Pursuit cards and do it that way. Anyway, so in second place with 2 points, it's Kirby, and the winner for this very brief return of You Won't Get This One, Mary with 4 points. Right then,
that was fun. Thank you.
I just seen stuff coming through on the live feed. So, Lenny Robinson, where is the Tim Jury music? Well, has he been on? I don't remember seeing Tim come on. That's a bit weird. And
Tim's busy traveling around and going to museums.
Did he send any feedback to you through Kirby?
No.
Yeah. Lily Roman said, wonderful podcast moment. What are you on about? Every moment of this show is a wonderful podcast moment. Great.
Yeah,
Then Shoveler says 2-1. What's going on? And Alan T. Butcher says none. Don't know what he means by that either. So, and yes, by the way, Ben, that's how you do it. That's how slick the quiz could be. But it isn't, so because it's a 20 megabyte podcast. Lily Robbins says his name is above my comment that he is watching. His name's above my comment. Where's the Tim Drury? Hang on. Random Moore. Is it? I can't see. Oh, that he's watching. Oh, sorry. Well, we can only. I've mentioned him now, so well done, Lillian. Oh, for God. Oh, jeez. Right, hang on. Here we go. By way of contract.
That's better.
Well, got that one signed off. Cheers, Lillian. So that leaves us to move on to the next segment of the show, which is...
Boy, we're moving right along.
Talk a little bit about Fantasy Con, because obviously now less than a month to go. And
what's the date that it's going on?
Well, are you coming over?
No.
Oh.
Is it going to interfere with our podcasting?
Possibly. I'm not 100% sure. We'll probably have to work that day, but it's a Saturday. We usually record on Sunday.
Oh, okay, fine.
Saturday, the 5th of November. So remember the 5th of November. Gunpowder trees and
that next is, I have to point out privately to you guys, that next day after is when we catch up with you with our daylight savings time.
How fascinating. Thanks for that, Kirby.
You change on October 30th. We change that next week. So we're going to have the usual negotiation.
Yes.
Do we change that soon?
Yeah, we changed the first weekend of November.
Isn't it funny that the moment I start trying to talk about FantasyCon, you go off on a tangent. And it goes quiet again. So I've got a little jingle that covers that you going off on a tangent, and here it is.
Do not deviate!
So, yeah, FantasyCon is starting to... I could not be more surprised than anyone else. Starting to sort of generate a bit of pace. So it makes me feel as if not saying much about the event until the very last minute, it seems to be a good idea. So today, Deb and I did a bridal show at Medina Leisure Centre, where our white Viara, as in the company that does white VR, i.e. Dan Rowling, demonstrated his VR thingy that we're going to have at FantasyCon. It's rather cool. And I had a go on it. I played Walking the Plank, and I felt rather cheated by this particular VR system because I didn't fall off the plank at all, yet I plummeted from but it's very good. It's a very...
they don't so much fly, it's plummet.
Yes, plummet. A plummet. But yeah, it's good. So Dan will be there doing this incredible VR experience for people.
VR's fun.
We've also today almost, and I'm going to plump in for signed up, because we did have Board Game Zone at the last event 3 years ago, but it's sort of been enhanced somewhat today by Karen, who ran this event, the Medina bridal show thingy. Because she has a shop called Gaming or Board Game. I can't remember what it's called. I should already know. But anyway, she's going to be sort of looking after the Board Game Zone. And the best thing about it this time is she's bringing along D&D. So not only have we got all the classic games like Monopolies and your chess and your Connect Fours, the D&Ders will be there as well. Now, come on, Kirby, that's got to be fun, isn't it? Sort of thing
yes,
you want to see at Comic-Con, isn't it?
You can have everyone sitting around with Hellfire Club T-shirts.
That's why I said I think they're likely to be doing that. I think most of us are likely, although I'll be wearing a FantasyCon T-shirt. If I weren't, because when I go to London Comic-Con, I will be wearing a Hellfire T-shirt. Yes, of course, I've had people come back to me. So we've paid for the Jedi chap, Andrew Lorden, to come along and teach people how to be Jedi Knights, so I would expect him to turn up. Simon Fisher-Becker is on his way. He hasn't left yet, but he's definitely coming. Well, he told me he's definitely coming, so I presume he is. Clem So, of course, we mentioned him before. I'm really interested to hear his stories of his behind-the-scene acting at lots and lots of things. He's really good, actually, because he actually keeps his IMDb page up to date. So he's got a humongous list of stuff, unlike some people who do a lot of stuff but don't keep their IMDb up to date. And of course, Craig has also had his ferry bought, because I bought it for him. It's not Craig, sorry, Clive Mantle and his wife, Carla Mendonça, who I've spelt her name on the announcement graphic wrong, and that's been on there for 6 months, but only now does someone actually tell me that I've spelt the name wrong. I didn't actually spell the name on any text around it, but on the actual graphic itself, it says Carla Mendonça. Forgot to put the N in, so apologies to Carla for that. So, Corrie's Cabin become, by way of generosity, event sponsors, because they put a load of cash into the event, and we're very, very grateful to them. And of course, we did mention before that Chitty Chitty Bang Bang will be there. We've also had people getting hold of us to bring things like face painting to the event. So, the only thing I haven't been able to find as yet is an artist, because Alistair hasn't answered my "would you come and be an artist at our event" question. He just didn't answer it, so I presume he doesn't want to come. But I'll keep my fingers crossed for that one. And so we can't have everything. We do try to get things there. We've got to go up to the place and see where we're going to put everything. But it's coming together. We had people. I had the sign at the event today, and people were coming up taking a picture of the QR code on the poster, and it's starting to generate a bit of interest. Thank goodness. It's also been in the local papers, and there's a possibility. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Vectis Radio, who are a voluntary radio station on the Isle of Wight, not Isle of Wight Radio, but it's Vectis Radio. They've actually asked if they could be media partners for the event. We don't pay them, they don't pay us, they just sort of give us lots of free plugs on their radio station, and I've got to go and do another interview with them. So yeah, it's quite nice that people are actually showing a bit of interest in it now. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, eh? That's FantasyCon on the 5th of November 2020, and I hope we'll see the usual incumbents, including the councillor himself. I've got a funny feeling that Terry Miles might be coming along, but we'll see what happens. And of course, Kirby Bartlett-Sloan promised he would also come to the event. Now,
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You did?
I wish.
Yeah, that wish means that you wish you were. Anyway. So, moving on to Doctor Who news. Now, the interesting thing with Doctor Who news is we were discussing last time about the potential broadcast date of The Power of the Doctor. Now, I surmised, because we were actually planning out what we were going to do on the 20 megabyte podcast over the rest of the month, that it would be... Was it on the... Hang on, what's going on there? The dog's
what day of the week is it?
On the day I said it was going to be, which was Sunday, the 23rd of October. Now, I'm going to tell you, as we don't really necessarily have the time, I'm probably going to have to opt out of doing a podcast that day, because this episode is an hour and a half long, apparently. So I think I'd like to just sit down and watch it, and then we'll talk about it next available opportunity.
So are we actually going to talk about it? Because for all of Flukes, we really didn't. Or
we didn't?
Did we?
No, I'd like to not... I don't want to do a deep synopsis of the episode, but I'd like to talk about what we thought of it. Maybe talk about the pros and cons of the Chibnall era, because although we know Chibnall's crap, I would totally be in disagreement that every single episode or story of the Chibnall era has also been crap. I think there's been some absolute brilliant stories during this era. Not enough, but there have been some brilliant ones, and I personally think that Jodie Whittaker's been a triumph as a Doctor. I know there's people would disagree with me, but I think she's taken on a very difficult role as a woman, the first woman to take on an iconic role, and I think she's flown the flag beautifully for women and for anybody who wants to wear a rainbow on their person to support or be an ally of LGBTQ plus diversity or whatever. So I think that she's to be commended. And I'm absolutely thrilled to announce, it's so exciting, that you may remember I'm going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, meeting Christopher Eccleston at Wales Comic Con next month. But Jodie Whittaker has been announced for London Comic Con. So I'm hoping within a couple of weeks to have met the 2 missing doctors from all of the new doctors, apart from obviously Shooty. I haven't met him yet, but isn't that fab? I'm so excited. So yeah,
yes, it is. It's cool.
Yeah, so we're going to skip to watch and sort of digest The Power of the Doctor, and then I think we should meet and discuss not necessarily that story in great detail, but sort of just discuss the Chibnall era and Jodie Whittaker and her contribution
Sounds
to Doctor
good.
Who over
Do we know
those
what
3
time
years.
it's going to be broadcast here?
No, we don't. That's the point, Mary. We don't know it's going to be. But I would imagine it's going to be probably 6 p.m. So I think it'll probably take us up to 7:30. So it's well past the time we've been normally doing the show. So I think if we've got a week to think about the time of the time of Jodie, not definitely the time of Blooming Yaz, because I think I got fed up with Yaz at the end of the first series, but the time of Jodie, and we can have a discussion. Unfortunately, Ben probably finds it difficult to be involved in that.
I like the trailer to see.
Yeah, but people keep on saying the bit where
Sophie
she's in the bit where she's in the obliteration machine. People say that's her regeneration. No, it ain't. For God's sake. So I'm looking forward to this bit, but no, you're not, because that's her in the obliteration machine. Get her out of it. Yeah, so that's it. 23rd of October, BBC One. Kirby. Oh, yeah, you don't have BBC One here. And then we're all wondering Deb was wondering whether we're going to get a Christmas special. So we're wondering if the stuff that Tennant's been recording with Tate is going to be the Christmas special or the anniversary special of Doctor Who the following year. We'll have to wait and see on that one, won't we? So we'll find out at the end of that episode whether there's a little trailer for what might be coming on the return of RTD. Yeah, there'll be. It's always something in the Doctor Who,
isn't it? It looks like we get to see Sophie Aldred and...
yeah. I've seen a few little teasers, including Sophie. Yeah, they're quite good, aren't they? Quite exciting. So that's the return of Doctor Who this month, and also the end of Doctor Who as far as Jodie Whittaker is concerned. The other thing I like to say, I've been obviously I watch a lot of Discovery Plus, brilliant channel, but Ncuti Gatwa's done some amazing adverts for things. There's one advert in which he plays within 30 seconds. About 20 completely different, diverse characters, which really shows what a good actor he is, and that really makes me excited for what we're going to get from him as the Doctor. So, right then. So, Doctor Who News.
I still have not watched the show.
I don't think you need to watch Sex Education, because once you've seen how good an actor he is, I think you'll just watch him as a Doctor, because he's brilliant. He's an incredible talent. Doctor Who Worlds of Wonder update. National Museums Liverpool have seen a surge in retail sales following the launch of the world premiere of Doctor Who Worlds of Wonder exhibition. Well, I would imagine that Daleks probably end up in bricks if it's in Liverpool, but there you go. Revealing the scene behind Doctor Who, the exhibition itself landed in Liverpool this May and was promptly nicked by some... Oh, no, sorry. At the World Museum, creating huge demand for memorabilia from the hit TV show. A pop-up Doctor Who store at the city centre venue and online shop has sold more than 11,000 items since it launched, making history for National Museums Liverpool as its fastest selling retail range. Well, that's exciting. Who would have thought? So it proves that despite being rubbish, Chibnall has not destroyed the popularity of Doctor Who from its fans. There's Doctor Who Chronicles 1973. Doctor Who magazine has released details for their next issue of the series of magazine chronicling a year of Doctor Who, this time for the 10th anniversary, 1973. That's quite cool. Power of the Doctor finale date confirmed, as I just alluded to. The BBC has confirmed the Doctor Who feature-length centenary episode, The Power of the Doctor, will air on BBC One and BBC iPlayer on Sunday, 23rd of October.
Master.
This episode is the last of the 3 specials aired this year and will mark Jodie Whittaker's final adventure as the 13th Doctor. Blah, 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 blah. There's a trailer, but I don't know what you're going to get from it as an audio, but I'll play it anyway.
Hello, Doctor. Welcome to the end of your existence.
That's the Master.
A dozen of the world's leading seismologists have gone missing. 15 of the world's most valuable paintings.
That's Kate Stewart, who's going to Wales Comic Con.
Can I let you in on a little secret.
A giant incursion on Earth is imminent.
Has it never occurred to you that it could be a trap?
This is the day you are erased forever.
Oh
With
dear.
a conversation stopper.
It's incredibly dangerous.
It was a really bad idea.
Anything could happen.
Says her final battle. Or Yaz's.
It's when. Yes!
And at the end is her in the obliteration machine going, yes! So that's seen that. But there was the bit I found quite intriguing.
Below and
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Is
that on the TARDIS, you know, the TARDIS sign on the thing, the door that says "Please telephone box." You just went ha 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 ha.
Yes.
Which is obviously the
I like
master
that.
messing with stuff. Demon Quest on vinyl. Demon Records is to release Demon Quest, the second in the series of Fourth Doctor audio adventures on vinyl. There's a picture of a very frail-looking Tom Baker holding up some pictures of himself as a younger Doctor. It's a very sad picture to see Tom looking so frail.
Yeah,
But
we discussed that picture last time.
I know, but I'm just saying that he is quite old. Yeah, so there you go. That was Doctor Who news. Right, let's see what's coming through on the live feed. Lenny Robin says, find someone to be the child catcher to hang around Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. He always creeps me out. I did actually do a cosplay shoot on Saturday with a couple of our chief cosplayers, so I intend to put those up soon. And Terry Miles says, yes, I'll be there, rail strikes allowed. You'll have to walk if there's a rail strike. Sorry, Terry, but you've bought a ticket. They're non-refundable. You have to come. Or get a bit of taxi or something like that. Right then, so what we watched this week. Now, all I can try and remember what I've watched this week. I haven't watched an awful lot of drama-based things. I've been watching things like Murder on CCTV, the Crimes Gone Viral, Homicide, and things like that, which are all on Discovery Plus. We have watched Married at First Sight UK as a family, Masked Dancer as a family, Strictly Come Dancing. Isabella works on Saturday night, so she can watch that at her leisure. And we really are desperate to get to the cinema. I did watch a film last night. What film did I watch? I did watch a film with Jennifer Hudson in it, about the amazing singer who was respect just a little bit. That woman, what's her name again? Yeah. Aretha Franklin. There we go. Yeah, so that was quite good. I think it was called Respect. Quite enjoyed that. Good characterizations by all concerned. But as for stuff, I've been quite busy. I did watch Doctor Who. I suppose that's something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, there's loads in the pipeline to watch. I say you haven't watched. I've seen that Series 3 of Picard is about to erupt soon. I haven't even watched Series 2, so I really do need to catch up on some of these Star Trek thingamajigs. And we haven't watched the rest of She-Hulk. We need to, and there's loads of things coming up. I was very excited to see that they've sort of. There's going to be Ryan Reynolds has more or less announced there's going to be a third. What's that film he's in again?
Deadpool.
Pardon?
Deadpool.
Yeah, there's going to be, but it's not for another 2 years. That's a bit of a shame. And there is a new Marvel film coming out in there soon, which looks quite exciting, and I've forgotten what it is. It's another Marvel
I have too.
sequel.
I don't remember.
Yeah, what was it?
For some reason, Kirby, you're coming through very loud.
Hey.
Sorry.
In contrast, Adam is coming through very quietly.
I was leaning forward. Sorry.
Yes, you are coming through loud. That's interesting. Right, so I think we should move on to what Kirby you'd like to. I wasn't able to recommend anything interesting for you to watch. Oh, I can say though, there's another series we're watching. It's called DNA Journey or something like that. About it's two celebrities who go together as friends and find out their ancestry and people they may have been related to. Now, my mum is a particular fan of a chap, as you probably haven't heard him, called Elvis Presley. The other day I was just sort of going through my family tree and finding that when her great-grandfather, mother, was somebody called Hodsall. And I noticed it went back through about 10 or 11 generations. I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go to my famous kin www.hodsell.net and type in the name Hodsell and see what comes up. And it came up with a particular Hodsell who was also in my ancestry line, and they had a child called Benet. It's a woman called Benet Hodsell. Now, this Benet Hodsell's family emigrated to the New World, and one of which I think was one of the signers of, the Boston Tea Party thing. But taking it further down, their 10 times great-granddaughter was somebody called Lisa Marie Presley. I don't know if you've heard of her. So therefore, she's actually a relation of Elvis. She's Elvis Presley. She's the daughter. So that means my mum is 10th cousin to Lisa Marie Presley. She was thrilled to bits to have any sort of relationship, even though it's only by marriage, to Elvis Presley. I thought that was quite a nice little ancestry story.
Cool.
Better than my normal one. So there you go. So obviously I've always alluded to the fact that I'm related to the King by 17 times once removed cousin, but to 10 it's quite a good closer relationship, isn't it? Kirby, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I've actually started writing down what I'm watching. I'm trying to watch more stuff. Last week I mentioned The Munsters.
Oh yeah.
But I had not watched it yet when we last recorded. I've watched The Munsters, and I thought it was a fun little film.
Yeah.
And as I was watching it, I was double checking some of the actors, and I knew Sylvester McCoy was going to be in it, but I was absolutely surprised that Catherine Schell.
Yeah, I saw you post about this.
Yeah, for those who don't know, she was in City of Death as the Fourth Doctor famously says that she is a beautiful woman. What does he say? Probably.
Probably, that's it. Beautiful woman.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, and so other things that I've been watching. Don't laugh. I've watched a movie that everyone else has seen that I never saw until this past week. I sat down and watched Hocus Pocus, the first one.
What about the second one? That's out on Netflix, isn't it? Or something? Or is it Prime?
I started watching it last night, but I ended up going to bed because it was just late. I liked it as well, what I saw. I'll finish that tonight. And I have now caught up with Rick and Morty through season 6. I've caught up with Young Sheldon, except...
I love Young Sheldon.
There's a new episode, I believe, today. I have not seen it.
Okay.
So that's what I've been watching. I've watched several trailers of things coming up that I'm really looking forward to. The Super Mario Brothers movie. Looks like it's going to be good. The Tim Burton TV series Wednesday, about Wednesday Addams. That looks like it's going to be fun. And see, some other things that I need to watch. The Geek Daughter has gone ahead and started watching She-Hulk without me. So I'm going to have to catch up there.
Yes.
And I discovered, did you ever see the TV series Fringe?
No.
It's been difficult to find on streaming. It hasn't been on streaming until very recently. It's kind of a supernatural FBI multiple dimension thing. The description is not very good. On IMDb, it says that FBI agent is forced to work with an institutionalized scientist and his son in order to rationalize a brewing storm of unexplained phenomena. That doesn't really help. It's just really, really good, and it's now on HBO Max.
Yes.
Look it up. Try it.
Yes.
It's created by J.J. Abrams.
Oh wow, it must be good then.
Yes, it was.
Is that it?
Yep.
Oh, thanks, Kirby. Right, I just wanted to allude before we move on to the highlight of the show, of course. The two Comic Cons I'm going to, other than FantasyCon, of course, and some of the guest lists to boot. So, Wales Comic Con which is in Telford, has Christopher Eccleston, Nick Frost, Danny Trejo. These are just some of the names. Eve Miles, Anson Mount, Christina Chong, who obviously is also in Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Mark Sheppard always turns up at that event, by the way. Victoria Yeats, who is in Fantastic Beasts and also in Called Midwife. Matt Lintz, who was in Miss Marvel. Some of these are people that Isabella actually wants to meet. There's also Alex Utgoff, who was in the first series, or was it the second series of Stranger Things? Can't remember now. But she's already met him. Eduardo Franco, who plays the pizza chap in the most recent series of Stranger Things.
Oh, him, yeah.
Hang on. Oh, sorry, the wife's just come in. So these people are going to be particularly appealing to a certain person upstairs. Sean Biggerstaff, who played Wood in the Harry Potter films. We've got Jeremy Redgrave, who's in the episode of Doctor Who we're going to be watching this month, along with Janet Fielding and Sophie Aldridge. So, that's right, Deb's just packing something away. So, all in all, that's a pretty good cast list. Pardon?
I said, hi, Deb.
She sort of nodded. Meanwhile, at London Comic Con, we've got David Tennant, Matt Smith, Jamie Campbell Bower. Do you know who he is, Kirby? Jamie Campbell Bower. Hello?
No.
You don't? Okay. He played Vecna, is it? The big baddie.
Oh, him. Okay.
Oh, you know who he is now. Yeah. Clark Gregg. Know who he is?
Yes.
Yes? No?
Yes.
Oh, you do. Sorry. Jodie Whittaker. Know who she is?
A doctor who could have had better stories.
Mark Pellegrino. I don't know who he is myself. So
no.
Ethan Phillips.
I've heard the name.
He was...
Why don't you ask Mary some of these?
All right, I'm throwing it out to everyone. Ethan Phillips played. He's a character in Star Trek Voyager, who had a bit of a mane, shall we say? Harry Lloyd. Do you remember him?
The name's
I'm pretty sure Harry Lloyd played in that Paul Cornell story where the Doctor has to have a watch to contain.
The one who goes.
That's the one.
Yes.
Michael Ironside, Marina Sirtis, Chris Barry, Robert Picardo, who I'd like to meet because I missed out last time, Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker, Julian Glover. Do you remember him? Because you were just talking about a certain...
We were just talking about a story that he was in.
Yes, indeed. And both of those conventions...
Indiana Jones, right.
That's right. No. And Elodie Grace Orkin, who played the bullier, I believe, in... Stranger Things, or she might have actually been the girl who didn't last very long before she got her body broken up by a certain baddie. But yeah, both of those conventions combined, imagine them as one event with all those amazing guests. It cost you an absolute fortune to have a picture taken with all of them. So therefore, Deb and I have decided to streamline what we're buying in relation to photo ops. So obviously, I got Eccleston and Whittaker and Anson Mount. They're the ones that you have to get. And of course, I haven't got Tennant. I haven't got Smith because I've already had pictures with them in the past. So, but I've got Whittaker and there's a few others I'd like to get, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So, all in all, it's a very exciting couple of conventions that we're going to hopefully, fingers crossed, towards the end of the year. Mary, what have you watched this week?
Well, in terms of what I've watched, I've been slowly catching up on Game of Thrones, which is very confusing if you've watched it. Trying to keep 7, I think, different.
Have you watched it before, though?
You've watched it before?
Have you watched it before? Or have you watched it for the first time?
Trying to keep track of all the different houses, Yeah,
I've never watched it.
So who the head of each house is and why they're fighting and all that. It's really confusing.
I don't know whether to start watching it or not.
The piece that is more recent, I've been watching House of the Dragon, which is a lot easier to keep track of because it's just the one house and their history. So really been enjoying that.
Good.
Sorry, what?
I said good.
Yeah.
Good.
In terms of, and I just saw a stunning drama called The Outfit. Of course, it's on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you get that.
We would get it, but I don't know whether we get the outfit. We probably do, to be fair. Amazon Prime is fairly universal.
Well, it features an actor who is just so good. He played Thomas Aquinas, I think, or I can't. Boy, my memory is shot. He was in Wolf Hall, the lead player in Wolf Hall.
Yeah.
Anyway, Thomas A. Beckett, that's who he played, Thomas A. Beckett.
Yes.
Anyway, The Outfit, if you come across it, it's riveting drama. Yeah. In terms of what I've been reading the Target book, Reign of Terror, the old, first Doctor story. It's very well written, so I really am enjoying reading it. I also have just started a book called Galaxias, which poses an interesting question. What happens if the sun should suddenly blink out, leaving Earth in total darkness?
Yeah.
This takes place in an advanced society where all the energy comes from solar panels and wind farms.
Yeah.
And so all the wonderful electrical devices, internal light and phones and everything that depend on that start fading out because they can't recharge. And I don't know if you know this, but wind is actually caused by the sun. So
oh my God! I was a bit windy earlier on today, so that's quite interesting in itself.
Yeah. So pretty much everything.
I thought eating beans would cause.
No, I don't eat beans. I can't. Anyway, let her talk.
So yeah, it's kind of a future. What will happen when we are totally dependent on the sun for everything, and the sun blinks out? And so I'm just at the beginning of that, and I'm very intrigued.
I should imagine we'd be dead pretty quick, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah. But something that I read not too long ago is that back in the 1300s, there was not one but two volcanic eruptions that together threw so much particulate matter into the upper atmosphere that it did, in fact, block the sun for a year and a half over much of Europe.
Yes, my God.
And that was called, they termed it the worst year ever.
Yeah.
Because without the sun, plants were dying, animals were dying, and people were millions starved because there was no plants, nothing to eat. Kind of a conspiracy theory, but I have heard that Bill Gates is investing in a project that in order to stop the global warming that they all think is happening, that they're talking about shooting on purpose particulate matter into the upper atmosphere to lessen the effect of the sun. And so
what a great idea that isn't.
So then there's people, and that's why I read about the 1300s, whatever year that was in the 1300s, is because are they crazy?
Yeah.
Because do they not remember? Yes. This has happened once before.
There are better things to do than do that. The other thing, they probably would be a better idea, because if we do get one of these super eruptions, which is likely to happen at some point, have a machine that can actually blast a hole in this, in the sky, so the sun can get through, not the other way around.
But I mean, to deliberately throw a bunch of particulate matter to cause the same thing, it's like, this is insane.
Yeah,
anyway, the last thing is on Big Finish. I've been listening to an old one that you all have, number 37, main range, called The Sandman. And it's interesting because the Doctor is actually evil, and he promotes that image to the population of a planet because it was the only way some eons ago that he could keep them under control. Otherwise, they would be killing each other. They were so savage that he had to come in as like an evil figure to make them so afraid to do anything, evil.
Yeah.
That
it's true. The evil one eats babies.
So he's lived in their legends for ever and ever, and now he and his Big Finish companion Evelyn, who's the best companion ever, visit this planet, and everyone is afraid of him, and Evelyn doesn't know why. So that's what I've been listening to.
Thanks, Mary. And I was thinking of cancelling this part of the show. That was a bit of a stupid decision, wasn't it? Well, sorry, would have been.
Something I've been reading. I have decided to reread all of J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh yes.
So I'm just now finishing up The Hobbit. Probably finish it up today and start in with the whole trilogy again. And I might go back and read the Silmarillion. The Silmarillion.
Yeah.
Easy for you to say.
Well,
I'm not caught up with the Rings of Power because I have to wait until
I'm so sorry about
Fred can watch with me.
Okay. Well, next week we'll be looking at the Pandorica Opens and the Big Bang. Is it? Is that what it was called? Hello?
Is it? I guess so.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah,
I remember the Pandorica Opens bit, but I couldn't remember the title of the big finale episode.
Yeah, the Big Bang.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
For me. Yeah, so that's next time.
And this is going to be the
next weekend. I didn't have COVID, by the way, last week. I just had an extremely bad chest infection, and I've had antibiotics this week to try and clear it up. Hasn't done a great job, but it's better than it was. Oh, then it's gone all quiet. How my knees hurt.
Well, I hope you're feeling better.
I'm feeling better. I just haven't. I don't think it's completely gone. I've got two of the course of antibiotics left, and my ear went. I went deaf in this ear, but it seems to be coming back. I've got some stuff to squirt in it, so I've been a bit yucky. So yeah, next week, Pandorica Opens and Big Bang, and then there'll be a break. While the new episode of Doctor Who goes out before we return on the 30th, which is the morning where the clocks go back in the UK by 1 hour. So this is where Kirby, who is the expert on time transitioning, will help everybody work out.
I already let you guys know the times that. Well, I let Mary know, and a reminder to me when we needed to record.
And as far as the week after that is concerned, that will be the day after FancyCon. So I'm not quite sure where I'm going to be mentally after so we'll have to see how we go with that. We might have to skip a week, but we'll play it by ear. And that's it for the time being. So thank you for listening.
Who.co.uk?
Never mind them. Thank you for listening and watching and taking part in the show this week. Please continue to do so via the usual media means. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Fancy Pants.
Bye.
20 Megabyte Doctor Who podcast is an APV Services production sponsored by whowon.co.uk, lavazi.co.uk. We are a proud member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance. Doctor Who is a trademark of the BBC. No copyright infringement intended.